Welcome to Shadow Warefare, a channel created for those who understand that not every battle is visible, not every enemy is human, and not every victory is physical. This is a space for those who are tired of fighting in silence, tired of unexplained resistance, tired of repeated attacks that seem to reset every time progress begins. Shadow Warefare exists to expose hidden spiritual operations and to equip you with strategy, authority, and understanding so you are no longer reacting to darkness but overruling it. Today's message is not casual, it is not symbolic, it is not religious tradition. What you are about to hear is a strategic revelation that has shut down witchcraft assignments for generations of people who understood timing, discipline, and spiritual law. The topic is this: the 5 fasting hours that make every witchcraft assignment impossible. Before you dismiss this as extreme, let me ask you something real. Have you ever prayed and felt like something was still blocking movement? Have you ever fasted randomly but saw little change? Have you ever noticed that attacks intensify at certain times of the day or night? Have you ever broken through only to be resisted again, as if something was reloading? That is because witchcraft operates on timing. And most people are respecting the clock. Witchcraft assignments are not chaotic. They are scheduled. They are reinforced at specific hours. They draw strength from patterns, repetition, and unguarded spiritual windows. When you fast without understanding timing, you gain discipline but miss leverage. When you fast with understanding, you collapse operations. This message is not about starving yourself. It is about starving access. Many people think fasting is about proving devotion. That is not its highest function. Fasting is about weakening external influence by denying it agreement, energy, and rhythm. Witchcraft feeds on routine. It feeds on unconscious participation. It feeds on predictable cycles. When you interrupt those cycles intentionally, assignments begin to fail without you even knowing their details. The reason fasting scares witchcraft more than prayer alone is because fasting alters authority levels. It shifts who controls the environment. It removes background noise. It exposes what was hiding behind distraction. Some of you listening right now are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because something about your future is incompatible with certain powers remaining active. So pressure was assigned to slow you down, wear you out, confuse you, or distract you long enough to miss alignment. But timing is changing. Now understand this clearly. Not every hour is equal spiritually. Some hours are louder, some hours are thinner, some hours are heavily trafficked in the unseen realm, and some hours are defensive strongholds where darkness relies on your sleep, your hunger, your distraction, or your comfort to operate freely. When you fast during the wrong hours, you struggle. When you fast during the right hours, you silence activity. The 5 fasting hours I am about to reveal are not random. They correspond to spiritual transitions, reinforcement windows, and monitoring periods commonly used in witchcraft operations. You do not need to know who is involved. You do not need to know what was sent. You only need to remove the conditions that allow it to function. Before we go into them, you need the right posture. Fasting without posture becomes punishment. Fasting with posture becomes authority. So settle your spirit. Remove fear. This is not a battle you chase. This is a system you shut down. Say this internally as you listen. I am not reacting. I am repositioning. Now let's begin. The first fasting hour that disrupts witchcraft assignments is the hour just before daybreak. This is not accidental. This is a transition window. Darkness relies heavily on the handoff between night and morning. Many reinforcements are released in this hour because most people are either asleep or half-conscious. Dreams fade here. Monitoring happens here. Assignments are checked here. When you fast through this hour intentionally, you intercept handoff. This does not mean skipping breakfast casually. This means you wake with awareness. You resist consumption. You resist noise, you resist distraction, and you stay aligned. In this hour, witchcraft loses confirmation. Assignments that were sent overnight fail to settle because the receiving environment is alert, empty, and guarded. You don't need to pray loudly. Your awareness alone creates interference. Some of you have noticed that attacks often feel strongest in the morning. Heavy waking, sudden sadness, tightness, fatigue before the day begins. That is not random. That is residue from unchecked night activity. Fasting through this hour cleans residue. You are not denying your body food. You are denying darkness closure. Say this quietly. What was sent overnight does not land in me. As we move forward, you'll begin to realize that fasting is not about how long you go without food. It's about when you refuse to participate. This is only the beginning. Stay with me, because what we're moving into now explains why many people fast sincerely and still feel like something is circling instead of breaking. It's not because fasting doesn't work. It's because witchcraft adapts to careless patterns. But it cannot adapt to precision. What you are learning here is not a ritual. It is a disruption strategy. The second fasting hour that makes witchcraft assignments impossible is the midday peak, the window when the body is strongest, but the spirit is often distracted. This is the hour of productivity, movement, conversation, noise, and outward focus. Witchcraft loves this hour because people are active but unguarded. Attention is scattered. Spiritual awareness is low. This is when subtle reinforcements are sent through stress, irritation, impatience, pressure, and emotional leakage. Many people think attacks come only at night. That is false. It is layered in silently. Fasting during this hour does something powerful. It collapses distraction. It forces alignment while the world is loud. You become internally still while externally active. That contrast disrupts monitoring. Witchcraft relies on predictable emotional output. When you remove consumption, you also remove emotional spikes tied to routine eating, social interaction, and mental fatigue. You are not weakening yourself. You are sharpening yourself. This is why some people feel sudden resistance around lunch hours, sudden headaches, irritation, fatigue, confusion, emotional heaviness with no clear reason. It is not hunger alone. It is interference losing grip. When you fast intentionally through this hour, you deny witchcraft its favorite cover: busyness. Say this internally. I am focused. I am sealed. I am not leaking energy. This fasting hour retrains authority. You learn that clarity does not depend on comfort. That stability does not depend on routine. And witchcraft cannot operate effectively against someone who is internally ordered. Now let's move forward, because the third fasting hour is where many assignments collapse completely. The third fasting hour is the twilight transition, the space between day and night. This is one of the most active windows in the unseen realm. It is a shift point, a realignment hour, a moment when permissions are reassessed and next phases are prepared. This is why moods often change in the evening. Energy drops, anxiety rises, loneliness creeps in, cravings intensify, old thoughts resurface. This is not just fatigue. It is a transition pressure. Witchcraft uses this hour to prepare night operations. If this hour is guarded, the night weakens. Fasting during twilight is not about deprivation. It is about authority over transition. You are telling the unseen realm that you control the shift, not the assignment. When you refuse to eat during this window intentionally, you disrupt preparation. You create a gap where instructions cannot settle. Say this quietly. I govern my transitions. Many people experience restless nights because twilight was unguarded. What you allow in transition determines what happens in rest. This is why this fasting hour is dangerous to witchcraft. It prevents build-up. Now let me clarify something important. You do not need to fast all 5 hours every day. This is not punishment. This is strategy. You rotate. You respond to pressure. You listen to your body while staying spiritually intelligent. Now we move to the fourth fasting hour, and this one is critical. The fourth fasting hour is the deep night watch, usually when the body is asleep and the spirit is unguarded. This is when witchcraft relies on dreams, subconscious access, and lowered resistance. This is when facts are suggested, fears are rehearsed, and imagery is planted. You fast through this hour not by staying awake forever, but by controlling what enters before sleep and what exits upon waking. No heavy food, no emotional consumption, no fear-based content, no overstimulation. Fasting here means emptiness before rest. When the system is empty, nothing can be fed. This is why some people wake up tired even after sleeping. They were active in the unseen realm without knowing it. By fasting into sleep during this hour, you reduce participation. Witchcraft assignments fail when there is no cooperation. Say this with calm authority. My sleep is clean, my spirit is guarded. This fasting hour doesn't just block attacks, it restores energy. Now listen carefully, because the fifth fasting hour is the most misunderstood and the most powerful. The fifth fasting hour is the response window, the hour after pressure or attack is felt. Most people rush to comfort here. They eat, they distract, they numb. Witchcraft depends on this reaction. It counts on you to soothe instead of stabilize. When you fast during the response hour, you reverse control. Instead of feeding the disruption, you starve it. This is where assignments collapse suddenly and unexpectedly. Because instead of getting reinforcement, they meet stillness. You are not denying yourself relief. You are denying the system confirmation. Say this internally. I do not react, I rule. This hour retrains your nervous system. It teaches your body less is not equal panic. And once panic is gone, witchcraft loses leverage. Now step back and see the pattern. These 5 fasting hours are not about endurance. They are about timing, awareness, and authority. You are not trying to overpower darkness. You are making it irrelevant. As this message settles, you may already notice changes. Increased clarity, reduced emotional swings, deeper rest, less mental noise. That is not imagination. That is alignment. We are not done yet. Stay steady, because what we're entering now is where understanding turns into mastery. Many people hear teachings like this and feel a surge of motivation, then burn out trying to do everything at once. That is not wisdom. Witchcraft thrives on extremes. Authority thrives on balance. You are not called to become rigid. You are called to become precise. The purpose of these fasting hours is not to control your life, but to reclaim it. Once access is broken, you do not live in constant defense. You live in awareness, and awareness is quiet power. One of the biggest mistakes people make after learning timing is turning fasting into fear-driven behavior. They start thinking, if I eat now, something bad will happen. That mindset actually recreates bondage. Remember this clearly, fasting is a tool, not a requirement for worthiness. You are not earning protection. You are enforcing boundaries. So let your posture be calm, not anxious. Say this internally. I am not afraid of missing anything. I am confident in my alignment. Now let's talk about consistency versus intensity. Witchcraft assignments fail more often because of consistency than dramatic effort. A single well-placed interruption is more effective than long, unfocused fasting done without awareness. That's why rotating these hours works. You listen to pressure. You observe patterns. You respond strategically. If mornings feel heavy, you guard the morning. If evenings feel chaotic, you guard the transition. If nights feel restless, you guard the entry into sleep. You don't fight everything at once. You close the door that keeps being used. This is why fasting with understanding produces peace instead of exhaustion. Another thing you need to understand is that once witchcraft assignments fail, they don't always disappear immediately. Sometimes they stall, sometimes they lose clarity, sometimes they scatter. This is not danger. This is collapse. Do not chase what is collapsing. Silence confuses darkness. One of you listening may feel tempted to explain what you're doing to others. Resist that urge. Strategy does not need an audience. The more you speak prematurely, the more you invite opinions, doubts, and unnecessary interference. Let results speak quietly. Say this calmly. I do not announce my discipline. I live in it. Now let's address the internal changes that happen when fasting hours are applied correctly. You may notice that your reactions slow down. You respond instead of react. You pause before speaking. You feel less pulled into other people's emotions. This is not detachment. This is sovereignty. Witchcraft assignments rely heavily on emotional predictability. When your responses become measured, operations lose data. They can't track you the way they used to. This is why some people around you may feel unsettled by your calm. It exposes their chaos. Do not apologize for your peace. There is also something else that happens, and this is important. When fasting hours shut down interference, clarity increases. And clarity brings decisions. You may suddenly realize certain habits no longer fit. Certain conversations feel heavy. Certain environments feel draining. That is not isolation. That is alignment. Do not ignore that clarity. It is part of the protection. Now I want to address something that may challenge you, but it's necessary. Not every delay in your life was witchcraft. Some delays were preparation. But witchcraft often hides inside unguarded preparation phases to turn them into frustration. Once fasting hours close access, preparation becomes productive again. You will move forward without strain. Say this internally. My progress is no longer resisted. Now let's bring everything together. The 5 fasting hours are not rules. They are windows. Windows of interception, windows of silence, windows of authority. When you respect these windows, you don't have to fight constantly. You live ahead of interference. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are recalibrating. And recalibration always feels strange before it feels wells. I want you to release pressure. You don't need to do this perfectly. Precision grows with practice. Awareness sharpens over time. What matters is this: you are no longer operating blindly. Take a slow breath. And say this, not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. I control my timing. I control my gates. What is assigned against me cannot function. Let that settle. This is Shadow Warefare. This channel exists to bring clarity where confusion lived, strategy where fear ruled, and authority where pressure once dominated. You are not surviving anymore. You are governing. In the final part, we will seal this message, reinforce permanence, and close in a way that locks this understanding deeply into your daily life. As we close this message, I want you to recognize the shift that has already taken place. You didn't just listen to information. You received alignment, and alignment changes outcomes without noise, without struggle, without announcement. What you now understand cannot be taken from you, because awareness once gained does not disappear. You are no longer guessing why resistance comes in waves. You are no longer confused by sudden pressure, emotional swings, or repeated disruptions. You see the pattern, and once a pattern is seen, it loses power. Witchcraft assignments do not survive exposure, and they certainly do not survive disciplined timing. From this moment forward, you are not reacting to pressure. You are interrupting systems. You are not trying to overpower darkness. You are removing the conditions it needs to exist. That is a higher level of authority. Do not rush away from this. Let it settle into your rhythm. Let your body learn peace without fear. Let your mind rest without vigilance. Let your spirit remain alert without tension. This is what stability feels like when interference has been reduced. Remember this clearly. You do not need to fast constantly to be powerful. You need to fast intentionally to be effective. Precision beats intensity every time. Silence beats chaos. Awareness beats fear. If this message resonated with you, if something clicked, if clarity came where confusion once lived, then this was not by chance. Shadow Warefare exists for moments like this. For people who are done living under invisible pressure and ready to walk in quiet authority. Now here is your call to action. Like this video as a declaration that you choose awareness over ignorance and authority over reaction. Subscribe to Shadow Warefare so you stay equipped, not surprised. Turn on notifications because preparation matters and timing is everything. If you feel led, leave a comment. You don't need to explain your entire story. Even something simple like, I understand now, or I claim alignment, carries weight. Your words may strengthen someone else who is silently fighting the same battle. Most importantly, share this message with someone who keeps saying, I don't know why this keeps happening. This understanding could be the interruption they need. Darkness depends on ignorance. Freedom flows through awareness. This is Shadow Warefare. Stay disciplined, stay aligned, stay untouchable.